I want to do some quick tests to show you how you can upgrade the setup you have at your home computer bit at a time to get some better audio and video setups. So this is the best you probably get from a laptop itself. I'm using a pretty nice modern 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is a reasonable webcam, not great but reasonable, but a pretty good microphone. So even though you're hearing my voice with a lot of reverb from the hard surfaces in the room around me, it's very echoey, it's quite thin, it's actually pretty decent. Most sort of mid-grade laptops would sound significantly worse than this because the microphone will cost cents and it really it won't let your speakers sound as rich or as detailed or even as pleasant to listen to for a long time as they could be. So we're going to do this bit at a time. Note incidentally how bad I look, not just in terms of the softness and quite unpleasant color casts, but because people tend to use their computers at the edge or corner of a room, and because the lighting in my case up there tends to be in the middle of the room, you get the background illuminated better than the person. We don't want that. What we want to do is to change that illumination so that we're adding a light to illuminate the person in front of you. So I'm going to turn on the Elgato Keylight Air. Now the camera then has to, you saw balancing the light there. It's got much more light now, so it has to change what the exposure looks like. That already looks much better. We can adjust the brightness of this light to make it as bright as it can possibly go. I look a bit washed out, I look a bit rabbit in the headlights, but the background is better in the sense that it's dimmer so that the focus is on me as the speaker. You get some quite unpleasant shadows, mind you, in front of you. Let's, in this case, actually turn the overhead light off, but leave this light at full. And now we're doing even better because the subject is well lit because of the light that's there, flooding my face with nice diffuse light, but the background's a bit dimmer so that the focus is more on me. We can actually reduce the brightness of this light though down to probably about there is a bit better, so I'm not quite so blinded by the light that's coming into me. Note that if I turn the brightness right down, the camera tries to compensate by increasing its sensitivity. But in that case, we get this very noisy image and very soft image. So the detail in my beard, for example, is smoothed out completely. So about halfway up, we get some decent results. Now I'm deliberately recording this at night when there's no light other than the artificial light. If you're recording during the day, you usually have more natural light, which is good, but you've got a bit less control. And the reason, in fact, that I have this light is because I've got a large window to my left, and so this side of my face tends to be in bright sunshine, and this side tends to be like Phantom of the Opera in deep shadow. And so I use this light here to fill this side of my face, so to balance out the light that's coming in from the window to my left. There's a link in the description below to a video showing you how that works. So what we've done so far is to increase the quality of the image by adding a light, basically. Now though, we're going to switch our camera to the Sony ZV-1, which is a very nice external webcam, but we'll still keep recording the audio from the laptop's built-in mic. Boom! So that's us using the Sony ZV-1. Not only has the resolution dramatically improved, but more importantly, the quality of the image has improved as well. We're still recording this using the built-in mic on my MacBook Pro. A few things to note about this: the Keylight Air is still on, but it's now at its lowest possible settings at 1%, to give me a little bit of soft illuminated light. But you'll see the background's nice and dark behind me, so I stand out in front of that. Helping me stand out in front of that background is the fact that this is a wide aperture lens, and so we get a nice soft blurry background behind me, which helps me as the presenter stand out. The camera's got a lot of really nice tricks in it, so for example I can bring things into frame for it to focus on, and it will focus on them automatically and then pull back to my face. If you're showing detail stuff, it can be really nice. And just overall, it is a very beautiful image, nice big sensor, decent glass, so that everybody looks and sounds the best they possibly can do. I say sounds, they don't sound the best they possibly can do because we're still using the built-in mic to my MacBook, so let's go ahead and attach an external mic and see how that sounds. And here's how that sounds. Now, one of the key tenets of capturing audio is to get the microphone as close to your audio source as possible. Now, this microphone sounds significantly nicer than using the built-in microphone in my MacBook Pro, which remember is better than most built-in microphones will be. But it's still not amazing. Like, it's not as nice a sound as you get from a big podcasting microphone like this, where you get right up on top of it and you'll capture really lovely, neutral, flat response sound. But a lav mic like this is usually the best kind of balance of something that's very obstructive and in your face when you're recording, and something that gives you decent results. And when you compare it to what we started with, this is what we've got now, having upgraded the camera, the microphone and the light. And this is where we started. Now, we've all of us watched tons of content like this before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and indeed presumably for a long time after the pandemic. And it's fine. Obviously the words can get across, but we can do better. And even though improving the quality of what you get on a webinar or something like that can cost money, what it shouldn't necessarily need to do is introduce all that much more complexity. That is to say, these things are deliverable with a little bit of investment to make the overall polish of what we're producing better, but also to provide some better value back to commercial partners as well, and to hopefully generate repeat business, because we look like we know what we're doing. God, this looks awful.